Alright, coming to you bright and early here on day one. Got to bed pretty late last night, just finalizing the last few things, giving me a whopping 2 hours of sleep. So, starting off good. But we're all finalized to go. Just gotta do the last few things here, and then we'll be off to the airport. So, let's get it. Some nice fancy home in the hills. Yeah, spend our time spending $10 bills. Alright, breakfast is done. Now off to have my last proper shower in some 60 odd days. So watch out, 'cause here I come, bold and lazy, yeah, I come, no dignity. There's so long necessity of angels. Oh, you ain't been very good to me. Alright, I just landed in the Yukon about 20 minutes ago, just before 12. I got my bags. It was all pretty easy to sign some isolation forms and some other paperwork. But now I'm just waiting outside for the next 4 hours for the rest of the group to get here. So I have a little bit of time to do a bit of reading, maybe a little bit more storyboarding. Yeah, got a little bit of time to kill. But after the rest of the group gets here, we're gonna be getting on the bus and going up northeast on the Keel Road, heading towards the Northwest Territories. So we'll probably see you then. Couple hours into my wait here, and I'm pretty bored, so I'm gonna go explore, see what I can find. City, I'll see you soon. Alright, we're now here with the group. They've officially just flown in. Min, Maddie, Kate, there's Ben, and other people over there. We're just, we're waiting for our bus now. We're not really sure where it is. Hopefully it'll come soon, and we'll get on our way pretty soon here. I'm the king of Brooklyn, ooh, for all she knows. So sit back and watch me go, bold and lazy, yeah, watch me go. Just passing through, follow me beyond the mountain. Yeah, go. We're here on the side of the road. The shuttle buses have gone to refuel, but I'm just sitting on the side of the road. Very hot. We don't have our water. Unfortunate. Doesn't matter where we're headed, oh, yeah, 'cause some of us were built. Yeah, some of us were built. Alright, we've officially finished day one. We are now in Ross River, camping out on a field for the night, and we're going to continue up the canoe road tomorrow. As you can see, it's fairly buggy out. It's going to be a short little installment, but yeah, we had some pizza for dinner. Tents are set up. Basically just going to hop in now, we'll do a bit of reading, and then try and get some sleep before a reasonably early wake up tomorrow. But yeah, that's day one. Alright, we're starting day two here. About to cross Ross River on a little cable car ferry. Plan for today is to drive up the Keel Road even farther all the way to McMillan Pass. Yeah, should be a cool day. Gonna be a slow day, supposedly. But
long day.
Yeah, long day. But yeah, we'll see you later. Alright, we are officially at the border between the Northwest Territories and the Yukon, which means we are very close to our put-in, nearing the end of the drive, and we're all pretty excited for that, to be getting on the river. But we'll see you then. I see the world from rusted trains. faster future here.
We're at our put-in now after a long 2 days of driving, and there's an ominous rain cloud. The van's just left, which means we're out here. No going back now. It's officially V2.
There's no coming home with a name like mine. I still think of you, but everyone knows. Yeah, everyone knows.
It's a nice, beautiful morning here on day 3. We're just getting packed up, boats loaded, and we're having a classic first day on the water breakfast of bacon, eggs, and English muffins, which we're all pretty excited about. And yeah, should be a pretty good day.
Time they all start to look the same, but it ain't the truth we chase. No, it's the promise of a better place. But all this time I've been chasing down a lot.
Alright, we're minutes away from getting on the water here. We've all donned our dry gear and Owen his wet gear, and we're all trying it out, and it's a pretty cool concept to walk in the water and not be wet for once at camp. Keeping those feet dry feels pretty nice. But yeah, it's apparently going to be a pretty challenging day coming down this creek here. It's pretty narrow, water's pretty speedy, and so we got to be pretty careful. But it's going to be a pretty nice day. Scenery is just A+, and we're all in a good mood.
But everyone knows. Yeah, everyone knows. If you care, then let it go.
Oh wait, no, not the bread pocket.
How's the dry pants doing for you, Juice?
Fucking good.
No. Tell them the branded shit. This could get sponsored.
No.
So, my boy was wearing your pants. We did this cool ass trip and I got a cool video. Level 6 dry pants are keeping me dry.
Solid.
Yeah.
Alright, we're now reaching the end of day 3. Got off the water probably an hour and a bit, maybe 2 hours ago. Got our site set up, had a nice shower in the river. It's pretty frigid cold, but you know, it's worth it. Kate and Leo are making some spaghetti right now. I think they're just serving it up, so dinner's gonna be pretty soon, which is good because I'm pretty hungry. Just hanging around, you know, playing some guitar. Probably gonna do some reading after dinner, but gotta do the dishes first. But yeah, tomorrow we're just gonna get on the water probably around the same time and do more of the same. Heading down this relatively small river. There's lots of dragging, lots of lining, and lots of rocks. Our new boats are already looking pretty scratched up, but you know, I guess that's what happens. But yeah, pretty nice night. We pretty narrowly missed another thunderstorm earlier. Seems to be a lot of weather going through, but we've been fairly lucky with what's hit us. It's looking like it's dinner time now, so I'm gonna head out. But see you later.
We were sunburned and shoeless kids. It was the dead of July. We were skipping stuff in the failing light. I smelled the fireplace, although we were miles away. We were infinite. There was no time in those days.
Alright, it's day 4 in the morning here. We got on the water probably about an hour and a half ago. We've paddled down for a bit and now we've come up to the Northwest Territories Wildlife Station. So we're taking a break, gonna get a snack and go check it out and see what it's all about. And yeah, should be pretty cool.
Always be around when regrets are nowhere to be found.
Alright, we're nearing the end of day 4 here. We got to our campsite a little while ago. Went swimming and got set up, and this campsite is definitely the definition of a bush crash. You know, that's fine, can't win them all. Our tents are set up on some pretty small and bumpy spots, but we'll be fine. We got Maddie and Matt cooking up some tomato soup and grilled cheese for dinner, which sounds very good. Me and Dries are going to be starting on lunch pretty soon. Once that's all done, we're going to be wrapping the day up and heading to bed. Not much else to do. Campsites like this, you definitely have to stay organized, otherwise you will lose stuff very fast. And watching these curtains of rain and lightning just blow by us, but we've gotten pretty lucky. It's probably my last installment for today, but I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, it's the mid-morning here on day 5. Left the campsite around an hour or so ago. We've just been paddling down some rocky sets on the Tishy, same as the day before and the day before that. Owen and Corey are scouting a set downstream of us right now. They're just walking back up, it seems like. But yeah, it's a nice sunny day out, but judging by the recent weather patterns, I wouldn't put it past it to thunderstorm on us later. It's been changing about every 12 hours. But yeah, hopefully we'll get a better campsite today than we did last night, but you never know. But yeah, see you guys next time. Man, you're on camera, say something.
Something. I'm giving up on you.
What are we saying?
I don't know.
Like, are we vlogging again?
Today I'm aboard the Today I'm aboard the DeRosa Express. Our boat's hecka light, so we just cruise.
What do you guys pack in there?
We bumping and grinding.
You managed to go get rid of one food bag?
No. We got all the buckets,
And a bucket with some wraps in it.
We have the chickpea bucket,
An
the
empty water barrel and a bucket with quesadillas.
Yeah, I mean...
We're gonna have to fill up the water eventually.
We also have the fuel.
Yeah, we do have the fuel. And Dries' thick ass.
Oh, there's a river that winds on forever. I'm gonna see where it leads. Oh, there's a mountain that no man has mounted. I'm gonna stand on a peak. Out there's a land that time don't command. Wanna be the first to arrive. No time for pondering why I'm a wonder.
Alright, it's the end of day 5 here now, and we finished our time on the Tishy. We're at our campsite prepping for a overland portage to the Keel tomorrow. It's probably going to take us a day or so, because it is just pure bushwhacking. No one's ever gone this way before, so we'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, it's not a gravel bar tonight, it's still another bush crash, but it is what it is. This bush crash is a little bit more open, it's less tight as the other one. Tried to do a bit of fishing today, got very close to getting some. Unfortunately, just narrowly missed them. But we got some chickpea curry going tonight, so it should be very delicious. Tonight's my off night, so I can relax. I'm about to send the drone up to get some footage and scout the portage a little bit. But yeah, it's gonna be probably a long few days, but some pretty nice scenery surrounding us. That seems to be the constant. No matter how hard and tough it gets, you can always look up and get a nice view. But yeah, it's gonna be a chill night, and I'll probably see you tomorrow. Alright, it's the morning of the first overland now, and we're all packing up our bags, getting ready to go. We have huevos rancheros for breakfast, nice hearty meal for a nice hearty day. I don't think we're all entirely excited about the day to come, but it'll be fine. Just gonna be a lot of bushwhacking, probably a lot of scratches, and then we'll be on the Keel, and that will be very exciting. Bigger water, bigger fish, and that'll carry us down to the Natla.
We're fair strangers and all kinds of danger. Please don't say I'm going alone. To the ends of the earth, would you follow me? There's a world that was meant for us to see. To the ends of the earth, would you follow me? If you will never say my mercy.
Alright, we just finished the last leg for today, and it was pretty tiring. The bushes were tall, the ground was soft, and loads were heavy. That's about it. Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm ready to stay. What good is living the life you've been given if all you do is stand in place?
Alright, it's the end of day 6 here, and I think we're all feeling a little bit better now after having some dinner. It was shepherd's pie made by Jerice and I tonight, and we have snowballs for dessert, which are something with graham crackers and icing sugar, being made by Corey and Kate. They look pretty good. And yeah, we got out for a swim in a little pond and just been kind of hanging around, and it's approaching bedtime pretty soon, although it doesn't look like it. But yeah, gonna munch the snowballs and probably get to bed so we can do more portaging tomorrow. Woot woot. Alright, well, let's see then. Kate, how do the snowballs look?
They look delicious and amazing.
Can you explain what's in them, just because we've asked it so much, maybe it's worth having it on film?
Okay, so it's graham cracker and sweetened condensed milk, and then you mix it all together, and then put chocolate chips in it, and then form it into these little balls. And then right now I'm rolling it in powdered sugar to make it look like a snowball.
Alright, it's morning of day 7. Day 2 of our first overland, and it's pretty chilly. Woke up and everything was frosty. My socks were frozen solid, so that was cool. Those aren't going to be fun to put on. But a long day of portaging ahead of us. We're all pretty sore from the heavy loads that were on our back yesterday. But yeah, we have 8 grain for breakfast, no bakes for snack, and sandwiches for lunch. So some good food today. Alright, well, probably see you at the end of this portaging day, and yeah.
I'm just a man, but I know that I'm damned. All the dead seem to know where I am. The tale that began on the night of my birth will be done in a turn of the earth. Lie where I land, let my bones turn.
Alright, it's the end of day 7 now. Officially been a week since I left home. Yeah, we kinda cut it early today on the overlanding, just had a nice little clearing and been chilling here for the day. Played some games. We had some stir fry for dinner, and everyone's gone to bed now. It's just Jerice and I hanging out, waiting for the fire to go out. Hopefully tomorrow we will be sleeping by the river, because I do not want to be staying in marshy overland area for more time than we need. I think we have a couple kilometers of walking, then we'll be there, and then we start our 6 days down the Keel. Not much left to do tonight. Gonna be going to bed in a little bit here, but I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll die if I must, let my bones turn to dust. I'm the lord of the lake and I don't want to leave it. All who sail off the coast evermore will remember the tale of a ghost on the shore.
It's officially the end of the overland because we are at the Keel River. Day 3, and we finally made it halfway through the day. I've got the solar system going on now, charging all the batteries. I'm about to go for a swim, have a shower, and yeah, I'm gonna wash my clothes in my dry bag, like a little washing machine, get it all nice and clean to prepare for the next leg of the trip on the Keel. Feeling pretty accomplished right now, having just gone over this small mountain pass and gotten to the other river, but I think we're all feeling pretty good. So we're just gonna take a chill night, do some fishing, and just hang out and get up tomorrow and start paddling the Keel. So yeah, should be super fun. All right, it's mid-morning here on day 9. That's a pretty chilly day. The Keel is definitely a very, very cold river. All of our feet are a little numb, the hands as well. So we just stopped for a snack here and layered up a little bit. Hopefully that'll help us beat the cold. But holy cow, are we crushing distance. Like just 2 hours this morning and we've gone pretty much probably the same distance as what we spent the last 3 days hiking. So that's definitely a pretty nice feeling. But yeah, Leo caught a fish yesterday, first fish of trip. And so now we're trying to get the rods in the water whenever we can. But yeah, just gonna be paddling down the Keel today. We've definitely dropped below the tree line now because there's lots of trees all around us. But I will see you later.
Do it just like me. Right flipper, left flipper, right foot, left foot, left.
Well, I'm tired of losing. I used to win every night of the week. Yeah, back when sex and amphetamines were the staples of our childhood physique. You used to tell me we'd turn into something. Oh, you said life was much better than this. Yeah, but the closest I come to perfection is when you turn around to steal a kiss. But you never trusted tomorrow. Yeah, baby, is that any way to live your life? Well, you
Alright, we are at the campsite now, so just wrapping up day 9 here. It's hard to believe it's almost been 10 days, but after 4 or 5 days of crashing in the bush, we finally got a gravel bar. So that's super exciting, and it's a very pretty gravel bar at that. There's a very nice swimming spot. You can just jump in a rock and it's really deep. So for the super cold water, it's an easy way just to get in and out fast. And it looks like there might be some good fishing, and the water is like turquoise tropical blue. Super, super cool. But we got Min and Ben making up some mac and cheese for dinner, and tonight's my off night, so I just get to relax. But I caught a fish earlier, so that's exciting. That was my first fish of the trip. It was a little brook trout, I believe. It was too small, and you know, for good luck, you just got to put the first one back anyways. But after that, me and Leo brought in a Dolly Varden, which we have filleted up, and we're gonna have as a little appetizer prior to dinner. And yeah, it'll be a nice chill night. I'm probably gonna try and do a little more fishing. Maybe we can get a few more, but if not, the one is just fine. But tomorrow we're gonna be doing some more dragging and portaging. It's a rocky section of the Keel here with lots of sets that aren't necessarily runnable. So yeah, it's gonna be slow moving. And then after that, we got some fast moving water, and we're gonna be doing like 40-kilometer days. Yeah, I will see you later.
It's just a problem of mine. Yeah, I've been thrown around by some bad ones, girl. Oh, and a good one was a new thing this time. Yeah, but you showed me that I couldn't be farther, oh, from the truth of the problem at hand. Oh, I could never say, baby, tomorrow.
Alright, it's the morning of day 10 now, and we got off the site maybe like half an hour ago after a breakfast of some oatmeal, and we've just been doing some dragging. The river is, again, pretty shallow and very rocky, so it's probably going to be most of the day. Yeah, it's a little bit of a chilly one today, but just throw on some extra layers and it's all good. But yeah, should be another fun day on the Keel.
try at least. Good luck to us all.
Alright, it's nearing the end of day 10 now, and we're at our campsite. Another bush crash, unfortunately. But we reached the confluence of the Tishy and the Keel, and we have to cross over the Tishy again to portage around a sizable set. But the crossing is pretty difficult. It's very rocky, it gets kind of deep. Can't paddle, can't really drag it. And it was getting late in the day, so we couldn't really execute a safe crossing. So we decided to camp and approach the issue tomorrow when we had more time to set up a system that keeps everyone safe or find another solution. But yeah, we had some tomato rice and risotto, and now we're about to have some tea and just hang out and then head to bed to hopefully get a nice long sleep before tomorrow's day. Probably more dragging. There was lots of dragging today, and it was very, very cold. All of us were very hungry today, resultingly. But yeah, see ya.
Share your belongings, all them clever drawings. Try to make $1 from the grave. Yeah, sell them belongings, all them clever drawings. Yeah, trying to make $1 from the grave. Yeah, but who's to blame?
Alright, we have now gotten to the campsite here on day 11, and after the portage, there was just basically Swifts and R1s to run for the predominance of the day, with the exception of one really fun set, which was nice and wavy and a nice big hole to boof over, which was very fun. And after that set, me and Leo both caught a fish. I actually caught 2, but we only kept the one larger one that I caught and the one that Leo caught. So we have a nice Dolly Varden and a nice brook trout, I believe, for dinner. So that'll be very well appreciated. And aside from that, we're having chickpea curry, and we're camped on a gravel bar. So it's a pretty good day. But yeah, I'm about to get going on cooking the fish. Probably gonna do some lemon, butter, and onion. My dad would be very jealous of that right now. But yeah, be a very, very, very nice dinner. But I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, it's day 12 today, and it's been a pretty amazing day today. The scenery is just insane. The mountains have just risen up and gotten super tall, and the river's gotten nice and fast with just swift water and a lot less rocks, meaning we can travel really far. That's basically what we did today. We paddled very, very, very far, and it was a very relaxing day because the water's moving at about 10 kilometers an hour. So you just kind of float along and watch the scenery, and it's very fun. It's Kate's birthday tomorrow. That means a birthday cake and birthday celebrations, and so that should be a fun day. But yeah, I will see you tomorrow for day 13 and Kate's birthday.
To know what to say, mind is a razor blade. To call for hands of above, to lean on, would it be good enough for me now? One night of magic rush, the start a simple touch. One night to push and scream, and then really.
Alright, it's day 13 now. We're at the campsite after a fairly eventful day. We got up and started paddling, trying to crush some distance to get to the confluence of the Keel and the Natla, where our food drop was being left. And along the way we saw some cool mountains and a porcupine, which was very cool, although I unfortunately was not able to get my camera out in time to get a photo. And yeah, we grabbed our food drop, 7 new packs of food, and that will carry us out till the end of trip. We just missed a plane. It flew right over top of us, so we weren't able to give the pilot our garbage. But we have our first rest day tomorrow, day 14, 2 weeks in, and should be a pretty nice day.
And you kept us awake with closed teeth, sharing different heartbeats in one life. To call for hands of above, to lean on, would it be good enough for me now? To call for hands of above, to lean on, would it be good enough?
Alright, it's day 14, officially 2 weeks into trip. It feels pretty weird to say. We woke up to snow on the tips of the mountains, which was a pretty cool sight. We munched some beaver tails for breakfast. They were very tasty, and me and Dries have been making bean burgers for dinner now. The dough's rising. We're gonna get going on the buns in a bit. And yeah, it's just been a pretty chill day, doing a bit of reading, just hanging out, and preparing for the next 17 days of upstream and overlanding to get to the Raven's Throat, which will be a bit of a grind, but well worth it once we're there. Anyways, I will probably do another installment tomorrow after our dragging has commenced.
Walking barefoot down the beach, smell of the rain up in the air, smell the flowers in the air, and I swear on my life, if you need a joke, I'll be there. You need a smoke, you take my spare. I always thought you were fine. So what do you say when we're 26? Get married just...
Alright, it's day 15 of trip today. We're dragging upstream now on the Natla. It's a little bit of hard work, but it's definitely very scenic and overall pretty nice. But it is day 14 on the water today, so it's Valentine's Day. We got some fancy cheese right now for snack, and that is very, very tasty. Definitely one of the better snacks we've had on trip so far. But I will see you later today when we're done day 1 of dragging. All right, it's the evening here of day 16, and we're doing some portaging. We spent all day portaging today, and it was definitely a bit of a grind. Everyone was pretty tired, and we're all pretty sore. But we have another few days ahead of us, so just got to get down and grind through it, and it'll be all right. It'll just be a tiring few days. You know, it's part of the trip. There's ups and downs. But we're all gonna get to bed pretty early tonight, get some rest, and hopefully get ready for another full day tomorrow.
Getting back home to river. Never knew how to tell a lie. I'm being honest until I die. You know, this young love, it's got me high, it's got me high. Making the best of this life.
Alright, it's day 17 today, and this portage around the pushier parts of Natla is taking a little longer than expected, so we're looking at day 3 of portaging tomorrow. Yeah, so we're camped on this like ridge kind of height of land that we've been walking along for most of the day. It was definitely kind of a grind to get up here. We gained a lot of elevation. It was a little demoralizing walking up and away from the river, but it was pretty views. But there was a very cool swimming spot today in this like carved out creek bed, and there was a little bit of climbing we could do there, which was pretty fun. We're gonna be heading to bed here, trying to rest up for another probable long day of portaging tomorrow. But yeah, that's day 17.
I took a little journey to the unknown, and I come back changed, I can feel it in my bones. I fucked with forces that our eyes can't see. Now the darkness got a hold on me. Holy darkness got a hold on me.
Alright, it's day 18 of trip, and it was the 3rd day of portaging, and looks like we got another one tomorrow, so it's going to be a 4-day portage, unfortunately. But the dragging should start soon, so there's a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. We saw the first reminiscence of a sunset, so that's kind of cool because it's been super bright the rest of the time. Anyways, it's hella buggy under this tarp. We're going to be heading to bed soon, finishing up the portage tomorrow, hopefully. That was day 18.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thanks for being a light, Leo. No problem. You're doing fantastic.
I try my best.
I ain't never been away so long. Don't look back, them days are gone. Follow me into the endless night. I can bring your fears to life. Show me yours and I'll show you mine. Meet me in the woods tonight.
Alright, it's day 19 today, and it was definitely a good day. A lot of cool stuff happened. Firstly, we finished the portaging around the difficult part of the Natla, and we put in this morning just prior to lunch, so that feels good to be done. Secondly, there was a black feather canoe trip that came down the Natla as we were portaging out beside it, and we got to talking, and they were on their last day of their trip and had a lot of extra veggies and food, and they were just like, "You want it?" And we're like, "Absolutely, we want it." So we got a bunch of fresh goodies. So thank you, Black Feather Natla trip of 2021 July. It was very, very much appreciated. And then thirdly, we saw a moose. Barely. It was just around a corner, and then I saw the head, and it was gone. So not really too much time to get a photo, unfortunately, but still a cool experience. So that's moose number 2 of trip now. But yeah, day 19 was a good one.
baby, it didn't seem so strange. You used to buy, I used to moan.
Alright, it's day 20 today. That's a pretty big milestone for a trip. It was a pretty good day. We woke up and ate some pancakes and got on the water for a pretty chill day of dragging where when we stopped for snack we found a pretty cool caribou antler that was very, very large. And after that we kept dragging, had some lentil salad for lunch, and then it got pretty freaking stormy. It was kind of booming with thunder all around us for a good few hours, and then the clouds got very, very scary, so we pulled off on shore and set up camp just in time for a pretty heavy bit of rain. And it was our first bit of heavy rain of trip. Got us all a little soggy, but that's alright because it was the first one in 20 days. But yeah, we had some chili for dinner, played some Munchkin, which is like a dungeon crawling card game courtesy of Matt, and we're just heading to bed now. A little hungry. Dinner was a little small, but you know, that's whatever. We've got a big breakfast tomorrow of oatmeal, and after that another day of dragging, hopefully making it to the creek, and it'll be officially 3 weeks on trip tomorrow from the day I got on the plane. Yeah, that was day 20.
You used to kiss me in your bed sheets, just rattling your chains. Well, back then, baby, it didn't seem so strange. Well, even when one is dead and gone, it still takes two to make a house a home. Well, I'm as lonesome as the catacombs. I hear you call my name, but no one's there except a feeling in the air. You and I both know that the house is haunted. Yeah, you and I both know that the ghost is a you.
Alright, it's day 21 today. Time has just flown by super fast. Dragged a nice 6K to the mouth of the unnamed creek, meaning that our time on the Natla has come to an end, as tomorrow we are turning left. I'm going to try and get to bed on time today so that I am well rested for the upstream of the little creek, because I think it's going to be pretty grueling at some points. But yeah, 3 weeks, done.
I know the rain like the clouds know the sky. I speak to birds and tell them where to fly.
Alright, it's day 22 today, and today was our first day on the unnamed creek. We dragged up for around 6 hours today. It was pretty tiring, it was hard work. The creek was pushy, boats are heavy, and yeah, we were all pretty gassed. But we saw our first caribou of trip, which was exciting, and we had a Shabbat for dinner, courtesy of Matt, which was a cool experience. Dinner today was very small. We're all very hungry, but not much we can do about it. Guess let's sleep for dinner, guys. Love that. But looks like a good breakfast tomorrow, so hopefully that'll fill us up. And then more dragging tomorrow. But yeah, that's day 22.
I told you not to get lost in the wild. I sent you omens and all kinds of signs. I taught you melodies, poems and rhymes. Oh,
it's day 23 today. Just chilling at the campsite under the tarp, watching Ben and Leo make some lasagna. It's looking pretty good. But we started the day today with some dragging up some pushy sets, and it was difficult, but it was manageable. And then after lunch we took out at a portage and did a couple legs around some larger sets that just weren't feasible to drag, and that portaging took us to our campsite here. Along the portage we saw a caribou skull, which we thought was pretty cool until we discovered it was full of wasps. Ben lost odds and had to lick it. I don't know why he did that, but you know, he ain't gonna back out on odds, I guess. And yeah, with that was day 23. It's day 24 today, and it was more of the same. Lots of dragging and hard work pulling up sets, but overall it was a good day. We got to the campsite a little early, so we had lots of time just to kind of hang around, and some people went on a walk up the side of the mountain, and they got some cool views from up there. I made some peach pie for the group. After dinner, Teresa and I are part of this group called LOGE, which stands for League of Gentle Aquatic People, and requires you to swim every day. And we hadn't swam yet today, so we were gonna go right before we went to bed, and it started raining, and it got really cold. So we had to go swim when everyone was in their tents asleep, and in the rain. It was kind of chilly, but you know, we got it done, because that's what it requires to be part of LOGE. But yeah, that was day 24.
And it feels like I am with you. Oh, but what do we do and where have you gone? On the night you disappeared. Oh, if I had seen it clear.
Alright, it's day 25 today, but it's day 24 on the water, so that means it's Christmas Eve tonight, and so we decorated a little tree with some flagging tape, and it's Christmas tomorrow, so we have a special breakfast lined up, a special dinner, and maybe other fun few surprises, but we'll see what happens. It was really, really rainy today. First day on trip, it was actually like grossly wet, but it cleared up nicely for us, and so we've been able to just hang out at the campsite while staying dry, which was definitely well appreciated. Yeah, we're gonna drink some hot cocoa tonight, which is just pure cocoa powder and water. But yeah, that was day 25.
Oh, I don't wanna be the only one living when all of my friends are gone. I will be waiting for you on the other side of the frozen pines. I'm gonna find a way through. There's another.
Alright, it's nearing the end of day 26 here, and again day 25 on the water, so today was Christmas, and it was full of fun trip Christmas festivities. We woke up to a nice breakfast of some beaver tails, after which we played some cards, a game called Screw the Dealer. Then we decided to unpack all our food and do an inventory and repack into a few less packs, so we have a few less things to keep track of on the upcoming overland, as well as clean out the barrels and just generally prepare ourselves for the next half a trip coming up. And then we made a nice Christmas dinner, which was very delicious, and we had some biscotti for dessert, and now we're just hanging out and drinking some Bengal spice tea, courtesy of Leo. He was one that requested it. Was brought on trip, and it is very, very good and well appreciated. But yeah, today was obviously a rest day for Christmas, and it was very restful. We all, I think, needed it after 10 days or something straight dragging upstream and some weary muscles. But with that was day 26.
Hello, my old heart. How have you been? Are you still there? chest. I've been so worried, you've been so still, barely beating it all. Oh, don't leave me here alone. Don't tell me that we've grown for having loved a little while.
Alright, it's day 27 today, which means that tomorrow will officially mark the longest trip I've ever been on, which is kind of exciting. But today we started with a bit of portaging, dragged a bit, and then continued to portage. However, the portage that we just started at the end of the day today is a couple of days long, and there's no water in the middle, so we have to set up a base camp on one side. And we did that today, and we sent some of our gear through to the middle, and we're going to try and get all the gear as far as we can tomorrow, and then right near the end of the day, just carry our essential camping items over to the next water source and stay there, and then the next day return for the rest of our gear, which will still be somewhere in the middle. But yeah, that was day 27.
Tell me that we've grown for having loved a little while. Oh, I don't wanna be alone. I wanna find a home, and I wanna share it with you. Hello, my old heart, how have you been? How is it being locked away? Don't you worry, in there you're safe. And it's true, you'll never beat, but you'll never break. Nothing lasts forever. Some things aren't meant to be, but you'll never find the answers till you set your old heart free. Until you set your old heart free.
Nearing the end of day 28 now, and it was a long, hard, but very cool day. We started the day off by portaging all of our camping items up to where we left all our other gear partway through the portage, and once we got all that there, we just continued portaging everything then. At lunch we saw a very cool waterfall, and it was pretty tall, maybe like 8 or 9 meters. It was also very, very far away. We were not close to it at all. After lunch we continued to push hard and try and crush out the rest of the day. Along the way we saw a wolf skull, which was pretty cool, but we managed to crush the rest of the distance. We got all our gear to the water, which means we don't have to wake up and return for some of our gear left behind on the portage, which means we're going to sleep in a little bit to kind of recuperate, and then after that have our final day of dragging upstream, and then it's officially the start of our official overland after now having like 3 multi-day portages. But the Raven's Throat is so close. You can see the height of land. It's definitely starting to feel a lot more within reach, which is cool. And with that was day 28.
Nothing makes me feel at home like being under the stars. A hike night in your tent or a bed in the back of your car. And nothing makes me feel at home like a company. Waking up with wet hair entangled in somebody. Good things take time, longer than you might hope. Like the old clothes that we repair, not everything here has to be outworn. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like I am always homesick, but everywhere's home. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like I am always lonely, but never never alone. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like I wanna be in love, but don't know where to go. Trying to keep from getting low, getting low, getting low. Trying to keep from getting low, getting low, getting low. And nothing makes me feel alone than being where you are. And drifting somewhere in the currents asleep between me and fire.
Alright, it's day 29 of trip, and we are officially done the upstream portion. Feels kind of weird to say, to be officially done something, but the upstream portion isn't one that we're too upset about saying goodbye to. However, the last day of upstream today was a really nice one. The river kind of blessed us and gave us a nice send-off. It was pretty decent dragging for the last 30 minutes of the day. It flattened out really nice, and the current slowed down, and the water was just super clear, and it was just all in all a super pretty way to finish. But yeah, that was day 29.
Feels like I wanna be in love, but don't know where to go. Trying to keep from getting low, getting low, getting low. Trying to keep from getting low, getting low, getting low. Trying to keep from getting low, getting low, getting low. Trying to keep from getting low, getting low, getting low. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like I am always homesick, but everywhere's home. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like I am always lonely, but never alone. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like I wanna be in love, but don't know where to go. Trying to keep from getting low, getting low, getting low. Trying to keep from getting low, getting low, getting low.
Alright, it's day 30 today, and we're one day into our overland. We took all of our heavy loads, such as boats and food packs and barrels that we did not need at the campsite here today, and carried as far as we could, and we got about 2/3 of the way through the overland, and that was pretty good. Tomorrow morning we're going to wake up and move our tents and all our camping stuff all the way to the other side of the Raven's Throat and set up camp. But yeah, we got back from the overland today and had chickpea curry for dinner, and then we found a super nice swimming spot. It was probably the nicest one of trip so far, and the water wasn't bitter cold for once, which was nice, and super clear, and it was nice and deep, and all in all a very nice swim. And that was day 30.
You put your hand in mine and well, they fell perfectly together.
Alright, it's day 31, and we are portaging all of our essential camp items over the entire length of the overland. We are just approaching the height of land, and this will be the last time we pass it for the trip. So everything from here on out will follow a general trend of decrease in elevation, which is very exciting. We just climbed a big hill, so my legs are kind of tired. But yeah, we're gonna fire a bear banger off in celebration as a quote-unquote firework. But yeah, I'll see you later. We're the height of land.
I'll probably never see her again. Golden as the daylight comes in. Well, they're falling in love and they won't pretend. It's just a thing, but that is the thing, 'cause I don't know if I want you to hear this song.
Alright, it's day 31 today, and we have officially reached the Raven's Throat. That's super exciting to say, because we've spent the last 30 days trying to get here. Well, we have reached the Raven's Throat. We not finished the overland. We have all our camping essentials here beside the Raven's Throat Creek, but we have to go back tomorrow to pick up the boats and the rest of our heavy items. But nevertheless, does not take away from how cool it is to finally be here. But yeah, that was day 31.
And she got me closer, so I said, well, hypothetically, theoretically, and well, she said nothing, but she kissed me instead as the sun starts to rise and the twilight night is thin. She kissed me for her last time, and she was golden, golden as the daylight comes, and I'll probably never see her again. Golden, golden as the daylight comes, and I'll probably never see her again.
Alright, it's the end of day 32 here, and I can happily say that we are now done all of our planned overlanding. It's not to say there might not be some longer portages along the way to avoid sets and whatnot, but what's officially been planned, we done it, which feels pretty good to say. It was Ben's birthday today, which was super exciting. He turned 18. Happy birthday, Ben. Hope you had a good one today. But yeah, that was day 32.
Calling in the distance, so I packed my things and ran far away from all the trouble I had caused with my two hands. Alone we traveled on with nothing but a shadow. We fled far away. Hold your horses now. Until the sun goes down. Through the woods we ride. Deep into the mountains sound. Hold your horses.
Alright, it's the end of day 33 here, and we finished our first day downstream on the Raven's Throat. It was a super fun day. Started off with lots of pushing down and hopping on the bow and stern plates of the boats and just floating, and then the river got a little bigger and we started to paddle a bit. Some super cool little canyons that we went through, one of which was a little chaotic, and Maddie fell out of the boat, and then I tried to get out of the boat to stop my boat from hitting her, and then I fell out of the boat. It's a lot of falling out of boats today. Min also fell out of the boat because your boat kind of starts to pick up speed, and then you need to hop out to slow it down, and it's like maybe calf deep, and then so you just kind of fall over sometimes. But it is what it is. Kate gave her trip gift of chai tea and blueberry grunt, I think it's called. It's very delicious. But it was hella smoky today. There's a forest fire like 100 kilometers away, and the wind changed direction and blew the smoke all in our direction. But yeah, that was day 33.
We sleep until the sun goes down. Hold your horses now. Through the woods we ride. Hold your horses now. Through the woods we ride.
Alright, it's the evening now of day 34, and it was a fairly eventful day. We woke up to some pretty intense fog, and it was kind of rainy and cold. We hopped on the water and got moving to warm up. And we made some distance, some pretty good distance, and we ended up stopping pretty early for our campsite today, and just got things drying from the wet day yesterday and wet morning today. It was also postponed Halloween. We postponed it because it was Ben's birthday and then it was rainy, so it was day 34 Halloween instead of 31. But we got dressed up and we got some candy, and then right after dinner, this is where the day gets kind of exciting. A bear was walking across the ridge, a young grizzly, spotted by Dries. We promptly made ourselves appear big and started making a lot of noise, and right as we did that, the bears started running towards us. And forgot to mention it was bears, it was plural. There was a mother and a cub. We saw the cub, and the mother joined up with the cub, and they started rushing down the hill towards us. Definitely made your heart pound a little bit. But yeah, that was day 34.
Well, he's out of season and a single. Lord, what must his family think? And you must be getting his feathers wet. Well, she always seems to be the top until she drops you like a rock. Well, you should have been a better friend to him. Well, I dusted all the bones out of my yard. I fixed the screen door, raised the barn, but still you call me from the moon every single afternoon. Tell me all about the astronauts you come to love, and how the earth looks from above, and how I should have been a better friend to you. But I've never seen life as a chore, a treasure for to find. Well, I've read the news, abused the booze, and often wondered why. My smile remains, though thinking pains the average passerby. Oh, they'll sink like stones into their homes, away from teeth like mine.
Alright, it's day 35 on trip. Officially 5 weeks in now. But this morning we woke up to a pretty large caribou, so that was super cool. And we dragged all the way down till we reached this canyon with this huge waterfall, where we went and checked it out and had a snack with some chocolate almonds. Which unbeknownst to us would be the death of us on the portage. And now we're camped to the other side, and it's this really beautiful, stunning campsite, and yeah, that was day 35.
Well, you should have been a better friend of mine. Well, I saw in you a brand new bird, the song of which I'd never heard. Oh, a melody so fine the whole world would find, and it's a tune to give the boys the blues and turn the horses into glue. You know, I should have been a better friend to you. Yeah, I should have been a better friend to you. Well, I've never seen life as a chore, or a treasure for to find. I've read the news, abused the booze, and often wondered why. Oh, my smile remains, though thinking pains the average passerby. Well, they'll sink like stones into their homes, away from teeth like mine.
Alright, it's the end of day 37 today. I didn't end up getting to doing a video log installment yesterday, so I'm going to cover the last 2 days now. Yesterday morning, day 36, we woke up nice and early, and right after breakfast I spent about 10 minutes fishing and caught the first fish on the Raven's Throat, a nice little dolly varden, after which we started dragging down some rocky sets, and Owen found this really cool, I want to say mountain sheep horn, and then we pushed on to the confluence of the South and the North Raven's Throat. We were coming down the north and the south connects in, and after that becomes a much bigger river. And then we paddled down the now much larger river for about an hour, and then we got to this nice campsite where we decided we were going to take a hiking day the next day, so kind of like a rest day, but during the next day you're supposed to hike up a mountain, so it's not very restful, but you don't move anywhere. We woke up and it was rainy and cold, and so we were just like, nah, we don't want to hike, and we decided to sleep in and just take a regular rest day. Aside from burning our garbage on a large bonfire, we didn't do very much. Worked on our Happy Day gifts and did a bit of reading and played guitar, and that was about it. But yeah, that was day 36 and 37.
Birds I leave San Luis. Oh, highway boys all sleeping out with the dirty strings and broken strings. Other eyes are shining like the sea for you, the Queen of San Luis. I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me, a bird's eye view of San Luis.
Day 38, Dries turns 19. Happy birthday, Dries!
Cutting through the avenues, I'd always find my way to you. Beside the hook, the hammer lies. And fumbling round in the smoke, spending time chasing ghosts. Hold me down, child.
Alright, it's the end of day 39 now. It was pretty wet and cold for most of the day, unfortunately, but the continuous wavy whitewater definitely made up for it. But when we got to the campsite, we got buzzed by a helicopter, which is a pretty weird sight, especially because we're just in the middle of absolutely nowhere. But yeah, that was day 39.
Were you somewhere in between? Fast asleep, fly and dream. I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me, a bird's eye view of San Luis. I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me, a bird's eye
Scatter right now. I'm currently hiding behind a tree.
I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me, a bird's eye view of San Luis.
Get spotted. I was spotted. I lost.
I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me, a bird's eye view of San Luis.
Dries, you're victorious. How do you feel?
Tired.
I can hear you calling me. Come out.
Alright, it's nearing the end of day 40 now. It's pretty crazy that we've reached the 40s. Feels like just yesterday that we started trip, but here we are. Anyways, today was a pretty good day. Paddled some pretty fun wavy sets for most of the morning until we reached a canyon where we pulled our boats out and when scouted it, and it just turned out to be a little bit too dangerous to run, so we came back to Portage. But on our way back we noticed that 2 of our boats were missing and they had gotten pulled offshore and drifted down and luckily gotten caught in an eddy right before the start of the canyon. It would have been very tragic if they went through, because we would have been chasing them and there would be no guarantee that we would have got them back. We crushed the portage in 2 loads, finished up and continued with a little bit of paddling to get to our campsite where we had rice and beans for dinner, celebrated Min's birthday. Happy birthday, Min. But yeah, that was day 40.
It's not easy to see that being who I am is who you want me to be. I know. So why am I running from the one I need the most? I keep running, going back
Alright, it's the end of day 41 now. Got on the water a little bit late, but it was okay because we were going pretty fast with the current. I think we were clocking in around 9 kilometers an hour, which means by lunchtime we had done most of our distance for the day. Some people in the group managed to spot a couple wolves, and the sun was out for the first time in a couple days now, so that was definitely a welcomed surprise because we were able to swim and get clean, and I did a little bit of laundry, and definitely feels pretty good to get that done. But yeah, that was day 41.
From the one I need the most, I keep running, going back to what I know. So why am I running from the one I need the most? I keep running, running, I keep running. So why am I running, running?
Alright, it's the evening of day 42 now, and today's been a pretty good day. Got on the water and then pretty immediately got to paddle some pretty cool whitewater with lots of big splashy waves, which is always fun. And then at snack, we were munching some granola bars when a lone black wolf ran across the gravel bar that we were standing on, which was super cool because I've never seen a wolf in the wild before. And that was day 42.
Stealing glances at the pavement, the way comes too soon. Supposed to keep on rolling, but the race is nothing new. As the train starts to go, and it takes our bodies slow, and I know.
Alright, it's the morning of day 44 now, and it is quite wet and it's a little chilly, but I didn't end up getting to do a vlog last night for day 43 because by the time we got around to it, it was torrentially raining and it was very dark. But yesterday was a very cool day. We woke up and got paddling through some wavy sets for a good portion of the morning. It was a bit of a longer day, and when we finished, we pulled up next to the outpourings of a hot spring, which was super cool. Dries, Min, and I went for a little hike up to what we thought was going to be a small tufa, but it turned out to be a large volcanic type looking field, which was super cool, and there was steam rising everywhere. And so we came back down, and then everyone went up after dinner, and then we found a little pool that we all sat in. It was like a little 10-person hot tub. It was a very, very cool experience. But then it started to get dark, so we had to hustle down. It's probably like a kilometer, and you had to walk through some pretty dense bush and forest. And then when we got back, it started to really rain. Just as we were getting in the tents for the night, we saw a moose on the other shore. Yeah, it was a pretty eventful day, and definitely one of the cooler ones. But yeah, that was day 43, and now we're about to start day 44. And I'll see you later.
My head's above the water, but I'm drowning in your eyes. So I walk.
The alders are fucking 20 feet tall.
Well, it's a little bit of a thick bushwalk right now. That's the trail. That's what we're walking through.
Got a head full of dust. Well, I
evening of day 44 now, and today was a pretty hectic day. We got on the water a little late, but after about 10 minutes of paddling, we approached the Eastern Canyon, a notably technical section of our trip. The decision was made to portage, so we ferried back to River Right and started up the steep and slippery muddy slope. And when we got up to the top, we're faced with some pretty dense bushes that we tried to push through for quite a while until we realized it was a bit of a futile effort because they were very, very thick. So we turned back to camp and carried our first load back there and set up camp for the day and decided to regroup and make a new plan for tomorrow. But aside from the very difficult portaging we faced today, it was also wet and rainy all day, making it all in all just a pretty hard day. But yeah, that was day 44.
Do we move on? And I was always born to run. Got a heart shaped like an apple in the middle of my chest. Call myself a good man's soul, swinging off the hinges, trying to be one. And it goes like this. Oh, I can't help it now. Autumn leaves. Oh.
Alright, it's the morning of day 46 now. I didn't do a vlog yesterday on day 45 because I was just very gassed by the end of the day. It was a very, very difficult day to say the least. We woke up to rain. After breakfast at granola, we started our first portage leg, which consisted of traversing a very, very muddy, slippery slope, and it was just really brutal. Yeah, we're now at the end of the Eastern Canyon. We're getting back in the boats, and we're paddling to the confluence of the Redstone and the Raven's Throat today. So that's kind of exciting. But that was day 45 yesterday, and I'll see you later today for day 46. Alright, it's the end of day 46 now, but we woke up to some fog, which throughout the day burnt off. But at the end of the day today, we reached the confluence of the Redstone and the Raven's Throat, which means we are officially done our time on the Raven's Throat, and we are starting to paddle the Redstone. But tomorrow we're going to take a rest day, just to continue to get all our stuff dry and prepare ourselves for the last little leg of trip here, and work on our Happy Day gifts, because that is tomorrow. But that was day 46.
Hold my blood and draw your gun. I have always known I knew the person who killed me. As the sea reflects the swoon, seems we've heard the lights of that Cherokee drum.
Alright, it's the mid-afternoon of day 47 now. We just did our Happy Day gift exchanges, which is super, super cool. So I had Dries, and what I did is I found a wolf tooth. For the last 2 weeks, have been shaping it down on rocks and sandpaper, and then I've created a design that I thought symbolized everything that our trip went through. What I did then is engraved that design into the carved wolf tooth, and then I mounted it on a little bracelet. So I made little bracelet for Dries. And then for Happy Day, I received from Ben a very cool handmade caribou antler back scratcher, which is super cool and it works super well. And it's gonna look super dope in my room this year. But it was a happy day. Thank you to Ben and good job everyone in your gifts. They were all really amazing this year. So yeah, that was day 47.
Honey, get the kids in the car now. Put the cash in the trunk, get the keys, let's go. Hit the biggest bank in Chicago. For all it had, we're the thieves you know. Remember the thing that I told you 3 years, 2 moons ago. Promise I'll be right behind you. You're gonna die if you don't hit the road.
Alright, it's the evening of day 48 now. We got to the Redstone Canyon. Thankfully determined we were able to run the whitewater inside the canyon, which essentially saves us a nice 1 kilometer portage, which we were supposed to do tomorrow morning. In the next few days, I think we might be doing some 60 kilometer days, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, that was day 48.
Three kids in the back of a caddy. She said, come here and kiss your wife. And I know you're real mad at me. You're on your way to some kind of life. Daniel, John, and Abby, promise me you'll treat your mother nice. Keep your lights down, keep your voice down low. Wear your head down, whichever way you go. And I'll meet you in Idaho.
Alright, it's day 49 now, just past dinner time. But day 49 was a fun but very full day. Started off this morning with some pancakes, and then we pushed off and started paddling down some fun sets, and we saw a osprey nest with little babies and its 2 parents flying around, which was super cool. We saw 2 moose. One unfortunately was dead. It was just on the side of the river, all keeled over and bloated. But the other one we saw about 10 minutes later was alive, so that was cool. But we went pretty far today. I think we tallied in at 46 kilometers. Tomorrow's going to be another full day similar to today. And it's also going to be our last full day on the Redstone. After that, we are getting to the McKenzie, which will be pretty crazy. But yeah, that was day 49.
Don't have to kiss me, just bear with me, and I'll be back someday, I hope. Oh, I hope. Oh.
Alright, it's the early evening now of day 50, the big 5-0. Pretty crazy to finally have gotten 50 days into a trip. Today was a pretty long day. And the ground just flattened out and it became the McKenzie lowlands. So it was a pretty big change in scenery, which was pretty interesting. And we crushed a lot of distance. We went a whopping 75 kilometers, which is a very long way to go in a canoe. But yeah, that was day 50.
Sipping whiskey by the river, living out of sight. 100 miles an hour in the fast lane. 100 miles an hour toward the light. See the curve in that river's bed. Now look at you when I see my friend. 100 miles an hour in the fast lane. 100 miles an hour to the end.
Alright, it's day 51 now, and we've been at the campsite for a little while. We officially finished our time on the Redstone and got to the McKenzie River, which is just absolutely massive. It looks like a moving lake. We passed by the confluence of the Keel and the McKenzie, which is interesting because we were on the Keel on day 12. So the river that we were on at the very beginning of the trip flowed into the McKenzie as well, and we passed by it. Another group of paddlers passed by us, and we recognized a bunch of them. They were Kim and Bernard's V2 group, and we ate dinner together and we had a little bit of a food trade. We gave them some oatmeal muffins and granola in exchange for hot sauce, extra brown rice, and salad dressings. Oh, and oatmeal. We got some oatmeal from them too. It's really interesting being by the McKenzie now because it is just quiet. All the rivers we've been on in previous are always making some sort of noise, but the McKenzie isn't. But yeah. That was day 51.
Storms tomorrow. Well, you are as you came, mostly bliss and cocaine. Yeah, just a match, one begging for fire. Yeah, and I am as I was, sick with mercy and love. Well, I'm sorry enough, I was hardwired, so sit by the still.
Alright, it's the evening now of day 52, and we're just camped here at a sandy-ish campsite. And we got on the water at a pretty relaxed time and took a pretty chill day of paddling, and then because the McKenzie's current is so fast, we still crushed like 48 kilometers today or something. Even just at lunch when we were floating and having meat and cheese loaf, we floated 4 kilometers. Me and Leo are sleeping in a canoe under a spray skirt tonight, just to kind of change it up and do something different. It's a little cramped, but it's kind of cool. We're preparing for our last full day of trip tomorrow. Because 2 days from now, day 54, we fly on a float plane to Norman Wells, and we are back in civilization to some degree. But yeah, that was day 52.
With mercy and love. Well, the truth always was, we were hardwired. So go brace for good times. Ooh, do what feels right, and send me the bill when...
Alright, it's the morning now of day 54, and I didn't get to a vlog yesterday for day 53 just because it was kind of busy at the end of the day. We woke up, or me and Leo woke up from a really terrible sleep inside the canoes that was just uncomfortable and soggy. We got boats loaded and paddled for like an hour, then just floated. After dinner, I got in contact with the outside world again for the first time, and then after that we kind of sat out by the fire, had some tea, and saw the northern lights. First time on trip, and it was the last day
before civilization, and we saw it. Nice little send-off. They weren't too dramatic or anything, but still very cool because that's the first time I've seen them in my life. But I'll see you later today for day 54.
Well, it's 3 a.m. again, like it always seems to be. Driving northbound, driving homeward, driving wind is driving me. It just seems so funny that I always end up here, walking outside in a storm while looking way up past the tree line. It's been some time. But give me darkness when I'm dreaming, give me moonlight when I'm leaving. Give me shoes that weren't made for standing. Give me tree line, give me big sky. Give me snowbound, give me rain clouds. Give me a bedtime just sometime. Now you're talking in my room, but there ain't nobody here. 'Cause I've been driving like a trucker, I've been wearing through the gears, been training like a soldier, I've been burning through this sorrow. The only talking lately is a background radio. You are my friend, and I was ashamed. Riding that hope was like catching some train. Now I just walk, well I don't mind the rain. I'm singing so much softer than I did back then. Well, the night I think is darker than we can really say. And God's been living in that ocean, sending us all the big waves. And I wish I was a sailor so I could know just how to trust. Maybe I could bring some grace back home, dry land for each of us. Say what you say, you say it so well.
Alright, it's the afternoon of day 54 now, and oh my goodness, day 54 been a good day. Started off a little stressful with the miscommunication about where we were getting picked up by Northwest Air, and whether or not we had to portage to the airstrip into Toledo or get picked up on the river. But it all sorted itself out when we found out we were getting picked up by a float plane on the river. And then about an hour later, Northwest Air came and picked us up in an Otter float plane, and in 2 trips they took us to Norman Wells, where when we landed, Canoe North blessed us up and offered to lodge and feed us for the next 2 days. Everything you could ever want after spending 2 months outdoors. We got snacks, good fresh food, beds, flush toilets, all the creature comforts we have been definitely missing. But yeah, that was day 54.
When I'm crying, I ain't out there to cheat you. See, I killed that damn coyote in me.
Alright, it's the evening of day 55 now. We spent a little bit of time consolidating and sorting all our group gear and preparing it for the plane ride tomorrow. But yeah, that was day 55.
Hey, you Jojo, yeah, I know your name. Thought I saw you jump a Utah train, but I could not say, I could not say. Heard you tried to keep your hat on a shelf. Married a woman, went off in love with someone else, but could be as well. I cannot tell. Oh, no, I cannot tell. Jojo, don't you forget your name. They might try to keep you from the man you have been, so don't go that way. Don't go that way. Oh, 'cause the story
Alright, it's the afternoon of day 57 now, and after spending the predominance of day 56 yesterday and most of day 57 today tirelessly traveling between cars, planes, and buses, we are now in Temagami, Ontario. The past 2 days have been a little bit hectic, and we ran into some baggage issues in that we have none of our baggage. It is all still in Norman Wells, but yeah, we got to the campsite a couple hours ago and all of us are very tired, running off maybe a cumulative hour of sleep throughout the last 48 hours or whatever, but we're here now. That was day 56 and 57.
Oh, because the story I heard is the people I bore and the measures you take to wrestle with your Lord. All the measures you fake, whether you're dead or just still, will he measure your...
Alright, it's the end of day 58 today, and today has been a pretty relaxing day. We had a nice breakfast of bacon, eggs, sausages, and English muffins. A classic camp breakfast that was very tasty. But after that, we've kind of just been hanging around, talking about trip welcome back and what we're planning on doing for that, splitting up into sections about what we're going to talk about, and brainstorming ideas and just working back to remember all the little moments of trip. Maybe go for a swim tonight, sing some songs, and just have a nice time together. But yeah, that was day 58.
How's it going, Dries?
Good.
Final paddle, how you feeling? Yeah?
I'm excited.
It's the final paddle, V2.
I've been through the desert and I've been across the sea. I've been walking through the mountains, I wandered through the trees for her. I have been trying to find her, wanna give what I've got. She lit a fire and now she's in my every look.
Alright, it's the morning of what would be day 60 now, and day 59 yesterday was quite a busy day. We woke up reasonably early to paddle under the bridge around 10 a.m. And then the rest of the morning and early afternoon was spent doing trip welcome back, saying hi to old friends, family, and other loved ones, and just preparing to leave camp, which around 3 or 4 p.m. we sadly all said our final goodbyes and went our own way. But after we all spent a night in our own beds last night, I think we can officially say trip is over. But yeah, it's been an absolute blast. Wouldn't change a single thing. And I love you all. And yeah, that was VII.
I've been walking through the mountains, I wandered through the trees for her. I have been trying to find her, wanna give what I've got. She lit a fire and now she's in my every thought.
Alright, Mr. Rawlick.
Aye.
How long have you been a camper at Wampate?
5 years.
Nice. So what year did you start?
Pion.
Throughout these years at Wampate, did you always know V2 was something you were going to do, or did it kind of just spring on you like by surprise?
Yeah, no, I was like, I've come this far. You might as well see it through.
Yeah, finish it out.
Finish it. Big life experience I didn't want to miss out on.
Any second thoughts about planning? I know you had a little bit of a hectic last few days. But...
Yeah, I did do some last minute packing, which was a bit stressful, but yeah, it turned out okay. I didn't miss anything too important aside from socks.
A sleeping bag.
So yeah, I did forget a layer of my sleeping bag, which was the important one, the warm one. I was stuck with a positive rated sleeping bag for a very cold trip, but you know, I was tougher because of it.
Made you ever stronger, eh?
Ever stronger.
And on the plane ride up, was your feeling kind of like excitement, nervousness? Like what was the general thought?
Honestly, I was a bit nervous, can't lie.
Yeah.
Plane ride, I was a bit nervous, a bit hungover. More so just excited to see where we were going to start off the trip, and it was pretty cool.
Was there any like notably favorite moments that you had on trip?
I gotta say, when we finished one of the first overlands and I caught the first fish of trip.
Oh yeah, handshake for the first fish of trip.
Thank you. First fish right off into the keel, which was pretty nice. Felt great. It's too small to keep, but Dolly Varden to start the trip was still pretty cool.
Was there any moments that were particularly hard, both physically or mentally?
That's a good question. There was one moment on some of the dragging days which I felt just
Up the unnamed creek?
up the unnamed creek, and yeah, it was just hard going. It was really an unnamed river, but
Yeah.
just plowing through, and I felt real tough. And a lot of the mornings when I woke up and my shoes were like frozen blocks of ice, and my dry pants stopped working, I was a bit frustrated.
Was the length something that affected you a lot, or kind of played with you a little bit, or?
I mean, towards the beginning, I tried not to think about it a ton because you thought about it, you didn't want to start counting down days, but because it's just so long, there's so much to go ahead of you, it's kind of pointless. But it really set on me about after halfway. It was like, wow, we've already been out here for a month. That's crazy. We got a full month to go, and that was a big point. But I don't know. It felt like a long canoe trip, but
It's definitely a big change from the month of V1 and that, eh?
yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely a whole lot, double the length, pretty much, a little bit more.
Was there any time during the trip that you regretted your choice to come?
I mean, not regretted. There were some moments where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like why do this? It's not fun. It's hard and it's unpleasant at some points. But then I just stop and sit back and look at the scenery, and I realize, wow, yeah, no, I'm doing this for the experience. The experience is wild, but
Truly is an all-encompassing experience.
oh, it really is, because you get no breaks. You're just out there for 52 days nonstop.
There's no escape.
There's no escape. You got your tent, but what's that? Like a millimeter fabric, and
That
then
leaks.
That leaks, exactly. Not even waterproof. What is this?
Who would you say a trip like V2 is for? If someone was asking you, should I do V2, what type of person would you recommend come on a trip like
First,
this?
I'd ask them, are you masochistic? Because there's pain, lots of pain. But yeah, I mean, people who like the experience, people who value like meaningful connections with people and like accomplishing hard tasks as a group.
Would you say V2 changed your thoughts or your way of thinking about things positively or negatively?
I feel as if my values have changed a whole lot. I value different stuff coming off a trip.
Nice.
I value food a whole lot more.
Oh yeah.
Food is very important. Let me value experiences a bit more. Yeah. I think it's going to change my day-to-day life, but I still don't know yet because got to go back to see. But
Yeah, for sure.
definitely changes your values.
All right, Maddie, how long have you been a camper here at Wanapatei?
This is my 9th year. Yeah, started first year Tamog.
Nice, first year Tamog. And during these times, growing up as a camper, did you always know V2 was something you wanted to do?
Absolutely not. I was a 2-week camper up until second year Pion, and the entire time up until second year Pion, I was like, I'll just do river ads because month long seems like kind of a long time. And then I did Bay Trip, and I was like, since it was cut in two, kind of, I never really felt like I did a month long, so I was like, I'll do V1, you know, experience a proper month long. And then after that, I had done kind of everything, and I was like, if I don't do V2, I'll definitely regret it. So here I am.
Before leaving, did you have any like second thoughts or reservations about it?
Not really. I thought I would have a lot more because I was really nervous going into V1, that I thought I would kind of have the same nervousness up into V2, but I was chilling the whole time. I was just like, what? Going away, it's gonna be fun, it'll be fine.
On the plane ride up, how did you feel?
It kind of didn't feel real. I don't think it had set in for me. I was just like, oh, I'm hopping on a plane, like first plane in COVID. That was just kind of how I was feeling. I don't think it had registered for me that I was going on V2.
Was there any moment on trip that you'd classify down in the books as a notable favorite?
Our first base camp campsite, day 20, you know, when we arrived there on
overland?
day 28, yeah, of the overland to the Raven's Throat, that was my favorite campsite, and I think day 28 was just a really good day for me. We finished the Upstream, we saw that caribou come over the ridge, and that was really cool, and that was just my favorite campsite.
Was there any moments you'd classify as the hardest, physically, mentally, or both?
There are a couple. You know the morning that we saw Blackfeather, and then we
Yeah,
started dragging in
day
the
18.
afternoon? Yeah, day 18. Well, getting lost in the morning, and then my blisters were really hurting in the afternoon when dragging. That was rough. Also, probably the end of the waterfall portage was just a really long day, really hard.
Deep hill, too.
Steep ass hill. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I kind of just I was done.
Were there any things that took you by surprise or were unexpected that happened on trip?
Not really. I kind of had the mindset to like expect the unexpected. I didn't really have any expectations for the trip, so I think everything that came at me wasn't exactly a surprise. I was just like, oh, cool.
Was there any moments of regret where you're like, I really wish I didn't come and I was home in my bed and warm and...
No, not really, actually.
That's
I thought I
good.
would have more.
That's really good.
I actually thought I would have more, but I didn't.
Who would you recommend V2 for? What type of person?
Not my mom. Mom, never do V2.
Do you think V2 changed you or your thoughts in a positive or negative or neutral way?
I need to like not overcomplicate things, because at the end of the day, everything's really simple, and everything is so simple here. Like
Just
on
get
V2,
through like one thing at a time.
it's getting through one thing at a time. You're really only focusing on one thing. We talk about food, sleep, and like dragging or paddling, you know, like you attack each thing at at a time. A set, a portage, a leg even. So I think I just need to simplify my life more.
How long have you been a leader here at Wanapitei?
This is my 7th year leading canoe trips at Wanapitei.
And I guess you were a camper beforehand, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How many years were you camping with Wanapitei?
3 years. Yeah, I did 2-week pylon and then V1, V2.
So officially a decade here with Wanapitei.
I guess so, yeah.
Throughout your process of leading trips and that, did you always know you'd want to lead a V2?
Yeah, actually, it's one of the big reasons I joined staff. I remember finishing my camper V2. I was very goal-oriented. And I told myself after that trip that I would join staff in the hopes of going back and leading that trip. So it was actually a primary motivator for me. Yeah.
During pre-trip and packing, was there any time where you were like, holy shit, what am I doing? And you got like nervous about it? And
All the time. Yeah, I would actually say from the first day of packing. It's very stressful. It's a lot of things to wrap your mind around all at the same time. Food, gear, safety, group dynamics. So I'd say, yeah, pretty much from day one, just wanting everything to go right and trying to prepare for all that was nerve-wracking, for sure.
was there any points on trip that you would classify as a favorite moment?
Oh, I have a lot of trouble choosing favorites of anything because I like seeing the different aspects of each thing, and I find them hard to compare. But the moment that sticks out was the final canyon on the Redstone. Was kind of this last puzzle that we had to solve, and I felt like once we figured that out and everyone got through safely, it felt like we were home free. So for me, that was a big moment.
Was there any moment where it was particularly difficult on trip?
Finding a way around the second last canyon was quite difficult. There wasn't much of a route, so we spent a long time scouting. The first part of it was kind of sketchy. It had been raining lots and it was very muddy, kind of a steep slope into the river. So I think for me, just getting through that, getting everyone safely through was definitely a tough moment and a big relief when it was over.
Was there any part of the route or part of the trip or just anything in general that took you by surprise and you just didn't expect? Or
I guess the upstream portion. On a lot of the maps, it's represented as this thin little stream, and it's easy to look at on Google Earth, but it's hard to know what it actually looks like when you get there. So the approach, I didn't really know what to expect. Our water levels were much different from the route we were following. So getting there and dragging up the stream really kind of opened my eyes as to what we were getting ourselves into for the next 10 days, which was challenging but very manageable and doable.
how do you find, and I mean you've done a V2 in previous, but how do you find a trip of this length affects you mentally, physically, or any aspect?
I think physically, the beginning of the trip is the hardest because your body's getting into the rhythm of trip, the physical strain, and the demands that need to be met until you're broken in for the first 2 weeks. And then I would say the last 2 or 3 weeks is the toughest mentally, because you've been through so much, you're exhausted, and the end starts to come in sight, but you still need to get there and stay on edge. Exhausting in both ways, I would say, in different times of the trip though.
If you were to recommend V2 to someone, what type of person would you recommend it to?
I would recommend it to someone who can take the best out of every situation and be able to cope with adversity really well, and be able to shrug that off. It's about the people that can get through the hard moments together and celebrate the great moments with each other as a group.
Would you say V2 changed your thoughts or perspectives on things in a positive or negative or neutral way at all?
As a camper, it opened the chapter of being a young adult in my life, I think, and made me aware of the things that maybe I thought I couldn't do, and really motivated me to chase the things that I wanted. I think this time around, I'm very thankful for the things and the people in my life that make me comfortable, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a long time without any amenities, so just a nice shower and good food and time to relax, I think.
Yeah, really makes you realize what's important.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, Ben, how long have you been a camper here at Wanapitei?
This would be my 6th summer.
So what age group did you start in?
C2B, first year C2B.
Nice. And during your time growing up as a camper here, did you always know that you would do V2?
Yeah, I was pretty certain I'd do V2. The guy who introduced me to camp went on a V2 and he talked to me all about it when I first joined, so I was pretty certain I would do a V2.
Before leaving, did you have any second thoughts or reservations about your decision to do V2?
I mean, not really. I was definitely nervous. I was a lot of thinking, like the 2 weeks leading up to the trip, but I was like pretty much just overwhelmed with excitement to like be thinking about bad thoughts and like regrets that I would have. So yeah, not really.
On the plane up, did you feel at all excited or nervous, or what was your general?
Definitely a mix of emotions. Leaving my parents, knowing I'd be gone for 2 months was definitely hard.
Yeah.
Got a little teary-eyed on the plane for sure, especially not knowing a lot of people in the group. But like I said before, definitely like a lot of excitement.
So this group was entirely new to you, essentially, except for a few people, but that was a long time ago that you tripped with them.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts leading up to the trip, going to spend 2 months with people you didn't know?
Definitely pretty nervous, knowing I'd have like the first like 2 weeks of trip would be spent like getting to know you guys and like becoming friends with you guys. So because I didn't already know you, so yeah, that was definitely nerve-wracking. But I knew it would be good. I knew it'd all work out in the end.
How long did it take you to feel at home with everyone?
I was talking to Leo about this. Like the first 10-ish days was like definitely the hardest for me because I didn't know you guys. I was kind of quiet and shy around you guys, so that was definitely hard. But then by like day 10, I started talking to you guys more, got to know you guys, and the rest just flew by. It was lots of fun.
Was there any moments you'd classify as a notable favorite?
I gotta say the hot springs for sure. As a guy without dry pants, being cold and wet in the water all day, the hot springs was such a nice thing. I just loved it.
It was truly very nice.
Yeah.
Is there any moments that you'd classify as a personal, really difficult moment or a hardest moment?
Physically, there were definitely a lot more harder moments than what I'm about to say, but like what I was feeling, the hardest moment was on day, what was it, like 24, I think, the first time we had rain. During the day, it was just cold and wet, and we were going upstream, and I had no dry pants. That was the day before
Christmas, right?
Yeah, 24.
Yeah. Potato salad.
Yeah, cold and wet, and it was our first day of rain in 24 days, so it was just super brutal.
Was there any thing that took you by surprise or you didn't really expect to happen that happened on V2?
I think Northern Lights, because I was really hoping to see them. I really wanted to see them, and in our trip Zoom, Corey said that it's light like the whole time, so there's like a low chance we'll see them. And then on like the last day we saw them, and it was like super hype. I love that.
Would you say the length affected you, if at all?
I'd say so, yeah, definitely. It was super hard. The days after I got to know you guys kind of all blended together, and it went by really fast. But I think what I've been saying to myself is like, this is the hardest physical trip I've ever done, and it was 2 times more mentally challenging because of the length. And yeah, it was definitely hard to wrap my head around what we just did.
What type of person would you recommend V2 to?
Definitely outdoorsy, have to be outdoorsy, definitely fit. Someone who wants to like meet new people, get new friends, learn new skills, just an adventurous type of person.
Would you say V2 changed your thoughts or perceptions of things?
Yeah, I think I will like think about life more deeply in a way. Nature, like just living with nature rather than like on nature. Like we use it for our things, but out here we're like living with it. We're collecting firewood, using it as our like way of living. So definitely looking at nature in a different way.
All right, Kate, how long have you been a camper here at Wanapitei?
This is my 5th trip at Wanapitei.
So what year was it that you started? What age group?
I was a first-year Pion, and I was like 14, I think.
During your time growing up as a camper at Wanapitei, did you always know you wanted to do V2?
When I first came to camp, I was kind of just hearing about it. I actually was tripping. One of my close friends had a sister that was going on V2, so I kind of thought about it, but it was always something that I looked up to, but didn't really decide I wanted to go on it until I was a V1 probably.
Before leaving, was there any second thoughts or reservations that you had?
No, actually the year before, when our trip got canceled, I did have reservations, and I actually wasn't really sure if I wanted to go, but I think with COVID and being cooped up inside for so long, I really wanted to get outside and do something different.
On the plane ride up, were you excited, nervous? Just how'd you feel?
I was really excited, a little bit nervous for sure. I was a little anxious. I just wanted to be on trip, but yeah.
Nice. Was there any moments you'd write down in your books as a notable favorite?
I think there is one day for me where it was during our height of land overland, and it was a really hot day, and it was a pretty good day of portaging. I felt pretty strong. And we came back and we all went down to this beautiful swim spot, and the water was super clear, and it was the first time we could actually like go and properly swim. And it was just really beautiful and sunny, and it was really nice, and I felt awesome.
Was there any moments you'd classify as the hardest moment, physically, mentally, or both?
Both. Both for sure. On the muddy ridge portage on our first leg, I had gotten through all of the mud portion, and then the last bit was probably 40 meters of mossy uphill, and I was trucking up the hill with a canoe on my back, and I just was so exhausted at that moment, and I just started crying, and I had to put down the canoe, and Owen was like, "Hey Kate, like, are you okay?" And I just didn't say anything, and it took me a minute to kind of like compose myself and finish the last bit of the leg.
How did the length affect you, if at all?
I think it didn't really affect me too much, because I felt like I just got into a rhythm, and I was kind of just, every day going about my day, and I felt very prepared to trip for that amount of time, so it wasn't a huge issue for me. It was just kind of the way my life was at the time, so yeah.
Was there any moments of regret where you were thinking, man, I really wish I was at home and not here?
Definitely moments where I was like, damn, like it would be nice to, like have a shower right now, or like be in my warm, dry bed. But there was never a moment where I was like, wow, I really do want to be home. Yeah.
Who would you say these types of trips are for?
Definitely not everyone. It's for people that want to do something that is really hard, but also very rewarding, and you gotta love being outside and everything that comes with being outside, bugs and rain included.
Would you say V2 changed your thoughts or your perspectives on things in a positive, negative, or neutral way at all?
I think personally, I just feel like trip kind of brought me back to myself after a couple years that were not so great. So it was just, I feel much happier and healthier than I have in a very long time.
All right, Matt, how long have you been a camper here at Wanapitei?
10 years. It's my 10th.
What age group did you start in?
Juniors.
During your time growing up at Wanapitei, did you always know you would want to do V2?
For a long time, yeah. My dad did one, so I've wanted to for like at least 7 or 8 years.
Before leaving on this trip, did you have any second thoughts about or reservations about going?
No, I was so excited to get out. I mean, because we didn't get to go last year, right?
Yeah.
So been waiting for this for a long time, and it like lived up to every expectation I had. It was pretty sweet.
On the plane ride up, did you feel excited or nervous or a mixture of things?
Yeah, it was kind of funny. We saw some people in the airport, and like every airport that we stopped at, we met up with more and more people. So it was just really cool the entire time getting reconnected as a group, and the whole drive out as well. Just like finally getting to see everyone in the same place at the same time was pretty awesome.
Was there any moments during trip you'd write down in your books as a notable favorite?
When we started our downstream on the Raven's Throat, I was paddling with Owen day 32 after our final overland, and just getting to put our paddles in the water for the first time in like 20 days, and bobsledding, jumping on top of our deck plates and off again and on again. Even though the weather wasn't great that day, it was just like so amazing to finally be going with the river instead of against it.
Was there any moments you would classify as the hardest, mentally, physically, or both?
Yeah, that one portage, I'm sure everyone has said the same one,
hill.
the muddy hill, was really challenging. There was also one day dragging, I think it was day 24, that was particularly cold, and just another long day of dragging upstream. And it was the day before our next rest day, our second rest day, and we didn't know that we were getting that second rest day, and so we had been going for 12 days or so and didn't really know when the end was coming, and just slogging through in the cold was pretty tough.
Was there anything that took you by surprise or was kind of unexpected about this trip?
I guess how fast the time flew, honestly. Like it was 8 weeks, and every moment kind of felt like it was a V2 moment. We were trekking through it together, but now that it's over, it flew by. Everything was just, we got into such a great system, and like routine, and everything was just systematic for us, so
Yeah.
time really started to fly by.
Would you say that the length of the trip affected you at all?
Yeah, definitely lost social norms. It was kind of our own rules and our own regulations, and so getting reaccustomed was difficult. So that like length of trip, definitely you could feel that like we were out in the wilds. But it was nice. It was very peaceful, and I also started to feel that there was like an ease on the mind, that we were just out there. And like I was saying about the systems, everything just became so simple. You didn't have to think through the problems. If there was an issue, it was almost always solved by one foot in front of the other or another paddle stroke, and that was how we got through everything together. So it was pretty nice.
Was there any moments of regret or times where you thought, I really wish I was home right now?
Not at all.
Nice.
I think we had such a great support system. There were definitely hard times and times that I was feeling it, but I don't know, I felt that when I could see other people were struggling and I felt okay, I knew that I could do a little bit more to help them out and bring them back up. And I felt like the same thing was extended to me, that when I was, on a portage, maybe that the first 2 loads were pretty challenging, like it was okay to go late on the third or have someone else kind of pick up the slack for me. And so allowing myself to do that, I think really helped, that everyone was able to help each other out.
What type of person, if they were talking to you about this, would you recommend V2 to?
I don't know. You definitely need the experience. I wouldn't tell anyone to come out here, but anyone who enjoys pushing themselves and feels like they have really, I think honestly it's the people that make it, right? So if you have a group with you or people that you know that you feel comfortable that you could live with for 8 weeks or 50 days or whatever, the Canadian Arctic's about the best place you could do that. So
Would you say that V2 changed your thoughts or perceptions about things in any way at all?
yeah, it's cool to be a little bit more easygoing. Like, again, like I was saying about problems just being solved by just keeping going, I think it's an easier way to get through life as well. I think in the city it's very easy to feel the magnitude of things or allow things to grow bigger than they are, and really at the end of the day, if you have a dry bed to sleep in, you're doing okay. And with that in mind, I think, you know, going back to school this year and continuing on in life and for everything, it's just nice to know that everything's okay. I don't think there's going to be anything I'm doing anytime soon that was as challenging as this. So if I can handle this, I think I can handle pretty much anything.
Is there anything else that you would like to add or say about your experience on V2 that I haven't asked you about?
I love everyone in this group very much. It was a pleasure and a privilege to spend time with everyone. I feel very fulfilled, and it was because of all of you guys, and we did it.
So, how long have you been a part of the Wanapate community, Corey?
Oh, my whole life.
Your whole life?
This is my 8th year on staff, and I was a camper for my whole camper life.
Nice. Did you always know V2 was something you would want to lead?
Lead? Ever since I've been on staff, yeah. I wanted to do V2 as a camper, and then after I did a V2 as a camper, I wanted to lead one.
Was there any point before you left on trip, and now this is your second V2 that you led, that you had second thoughts about doing it, or reservations about it?
No, I was definitely nervous before both trips. It's like a lot of unknowns, but once I get out there on day one, I'm usually pretty good. There are hard parts, but I've never not wanted to do it.
On the plan right up, how did you feel? Were you excited, nervous, or a mix of things?
I was excited. This is a new group for me, so there was nerves about fitting into the group or meeting everyone, but there were never, I felt good.
Any points on trip that you would write down in your books as a notable favorite?
Ooh, I liked seeing the porcupine, my favorite Canadian animal.
That was a trip goal, right?
That was a trip goal. That was my trip goal. So that was good. Check that one off. But I really like the scenery. So anytime we hike up, or I like the overlands for the scenery.
Is there any notably hard parts of the trip, both physical or mental?
There are a couple tough portages, some muddy spots, some steep hills. That was physically challenging. And I always say around day 40, I get a little mentally tired of being in charge, but only for a little bit.
Was there anything that kind of took you by surprise and you didn't expect about this route or anything about this trip in general?
The Ravens route was a lot bigger than I expected it to be, like a wider, pushier river. But nothing unmanageable, but surprising.
And so obviously this is your third V2 that you've been on now, so had a little bit of experience with the length. But would you say a trip that is 52 days affects you at all? And you can relate back to your first camper V2 to pull back on how these things feel.
I always feel more relaxed at the end, going back to my normal life, not having been using a phone or a computer, having to keep up with the day-to-day new information, just managing what you have around you is super refreshing. I feel better going back to real life, and I think that's hard to get in a shorter trip.
What type of person would you recommend V2 to?
Oh, interesting. I don't think it's easy, physically or mentally, so definitely someone who feels confident in themselves, but not always, but enough to take on that sort of challenge for themselves for that long. But I think almost anyone could do it with some mental preparation.
Do you find V2 has changed your thoughts or perceptions on certain things?
Every time I go into one of those communities in the north, even this year with COVID and being very restricted, I felt like they were stressed to have us around, but also wanted to share their world with us. And I am surprised and kind of reminded the depth of those communities and the welcoming atmosphere there every time.
How would you say leading is different from being a camper on V2? How does the experience change?
Being a camper was a lot about being with my friends and like enjoying that community, and I loved it for that reason. But being a leader is more about kind of safety and keeping the group together and comfortable, and a lot more about like organizing. So it's a different vibe, but it's still fun to watch everyone else enjoy that community.
Yeah, for sure. Was there any hard decisions or tough ones to make as a leader during this trip that you like really stand out to you?
There's always decisions to or not to run whitewater, which are always kind of, each decision is different, and they can be hard sometimes because you're taking away an opportunity that could be really fun and putting in place a challenging physical one. And we did that a few times, so those stood out to me, but I always felt like we made the conservative choice. So.
Was there any hiccups or anything that happened in planning that were like major challenges to get over?
In planning, there was no place to have a food drop almost on the entire route because we need a float plane, so we need a bigger, deeper water source, and all of our rivers didn't always provide that. So we were worried about the food drop so early in trip and how that would impact us carrying so much weight after day 12, but it actually worked out really well. I felt like we could drag well with that. I'm glad we didn't have Downstream right after that. We would have been quite heavy.
Yeah. All right, Dries, how long have you been a camper here at Wanapitei?
5 years now. Started in second year Pion.
So during your time as a camper here at Wanapitei, did you always know V2 was something that you wanted to do?
No, not really. I think I realized I wanted to do it after V1, but before that, I didn't think I'd make it this far. Yeah.
Was there any second thoughts or reservations that you had prior to leaving?
No, not really. I was excited to get out of the city, that's for sure, but I wasn't really nervous. I didn't really know what to expect getting into it. But, yeah.
So on the plane ride up, were you just like purely excited or just...
I mean, I was pretty like, I think I was slightly anxious for sure getting on the airplane and leaving, but like prior to like the week leading up, I know some people were a lot more anxious, and I was definitely a lot more excited than I was anxious.
Was there any moments that you'd classify as a personal favorite that happened on the trip?
Yeah, I think finishing my first overland was very accomplishing for me. I felt a lot of accomplishment, and same with most of the other overlands, and then definitely getting to the downstream part was super fun and exciting.
Is there any moments that you classify as really hard, physically or mentally?
I think definitely getting through the portages and the upstream dragging was by far the most mentally challenging, and physically, I think just the consecutive days of working really hard was really taxing, and I know I had some bad days, but I think the hardest moment was probably the muddy hill. That was brutal.
I think it all kind of took us a little by surprise too, because we were home free, and then it was like, ha.
Yeah, no, it was just like the fact that it was like 10 days left of trip, and then it was just like boom, this giant obstacle, and we were all like, shit, this is gonna be hard.
Was there anything that kind of took you by surprise that you didn't expect was gonna happen?
Like the portaging, I thought it would be a lot more tame sometimes, but then as soon as we got into the first overland, it was like trudging through swamp and head high alder and pushing, and it was a very slow process. I think the scenery definitely took me by surprise. I did not used to being around mountains, and the scenery is way different than it is in Ontario, so that was definitely a surprise.
How did the length of this trip affect you, if at all?
I think it definitely affected me at certain points. I think it's definitely a challenging amount of time, far more than I'd say. Like a good long trip is about a month, and 2 months you really start to feel it. After like a month, you're like, oh god, I still have another month, and that's definitely challenging. And I think it's also challenging just because you're spending so much time completely disconnected from society and like what you're really used to, and especially spending it with the same people, it can be challenging.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we definitely talked about around like Christmas and that, when you stop moving and you take a rest day and if you're having like a day where you're like, oh man, we have so much more to go, and you stop moving, sometimes it can be mentally hard because
you get into like a groove of moving a lot and trying to make distance, and then when you stop and you kind of like sit back and relax, you realize you're not doing a lot other than like working at paddling and moving. But yeah, no, I think it was a great experience though, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't regret it.
That was my next question. Was there any moments of regret?
No, there was. I mean, yes, here and there momentarily, but things that I got over quite quickly.
What type of person would you recommend V2 to?
I think someone who's used to tripping. I don't think it would be... I think you really have to love being in the wilderness and kind of not suffering, but you have to like the accomplishment of completing hardships. But yeah, no. To enjoy it, you definitely have to be someone who likes to trip or go on trips. Yeah.
Would you say that V2 changed your thoughts on things or your perspectives about things at all?
Yeah, I think it did. It definitely helped me figure out what I like to do, and definitely makes me want to come back and go back north and do a lot more trips. Yeah.
Right. And you've been talking about doing these trips up north again. Is there anything you might do differently?
Yeah, I think I'd do different routes, right?
Would you travel by canoe?
Potentially for longer, more extended trips, I'd travel by canoe, but I think something that this trip has kind of made me realize is how much I like paddling whitewater, so I think I might move into that more. And
so like
maybe
a kayak or pack raft type situation?
Yeah, something more whitewater related and less like extended trip related, because this was definitely about the distance and the traveling and the remoteness rather than like the actual whitewater that we had.
Yeah. Is there something about the north that would draw you back compared to
Absolutely.
say doing like a...
I think the scenery where you are, the wildlife, and the absolute kind of sense of remoteness and detachment from society is definitely something that I liked a lot.
All right, Min, how long have you been a camper here at Wanapitei?
This is my 9th year, my 9th trip with Wanapitei. Yeah.
So what age group did you start in?
I was a first year Tamag.
Nice. And during these years growing up as a camper, did you always know you would do V2?
When I was younger, I had no idea what V2 was, but my sister did it. She's 5 years older. And so once she did it, I was kind of just like, okay, I guess that's the path I have to take. Kind of felt like, I mean, I didn't feel like I didn't have a choice. Of course, I wanted to do it, but it felt like that was a good endpoint, I guess, to finish tripping.
Did you have any second thoughts or reservations about doing V2 before you left?
Not at all. I feel like on Bay Trip and V1, we talked a lot about whether we were going to do V2 or not, but I felt like it was never a question for me. It just felt like the right thing to do. I've always loved tripping.
And on the plane ride up, were you excited, nervous, a mixture of things?
Well, because of COVID, like they sent out an email a couple of weeks before trip telling us all about the COVID protocols, and it made me so anxious. I couldn't sleep for like the 2 weeks before trip started. Being on the plane, I was like crying a bit. My dad was texting me saying his final goodbyes, and it just made me super nervous. I wasn't nervous for the trip, I was just nervous for like getting out there, because it felt like we've been waiting for so long. Like it's been a long time in the making.
Was there any moments that you'd classify as a notable favorite?
Well, of course, being part of LOGE, League of Aquatic Gentle People, our squad. Those were highs and lows, you know, having to swim on the rainy days, but it was bonding experiences. And honestly, every day didn't feel real at all. It felt like I've been waiting for this, and it's finally here. It was like kind of a dream. Yeah.
Is there any moments that you classify as a very specific hard point or difficult section, mental or physically?
Well, I'm not much of a portager, so portaging, I don't really get into good mental space for portaging. I'm just like, oh God, when is it gonna end? I'm in so much pain. I think about every part of my body that's aching. But so those were definitely the hardest parts, even though I wouldn't carry the heaviest things, and especially because I'm the smallest person in the group by a pretty large margin. Like, we have a lot of big boys here, so I felt like I wasn't carrying my weight all the time. And especially also dragging on the unnamed creek was really tough because I thought it was just gonna be like a cute little creek. We're gonna just walk up, but at some points it was like waist deep for me in super strong rapids, and like I didn't even have the strength to pull the boat up. I was just focusing on keeping myself standing, so that was really hard.
Was there anything that was kind of unexpected and took you by surprise?
When I bought dry pants, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna use these for 2 days. Like, I'm just gonna drop $300 and use it for like a day. But it was so cold, all the water, and we were like jumping in and out, especially on the upstream and on the upstream. We were jumping in and out of the water a lot, and the water was freezing, and dry pants really saved the day for that.
How would you say the length affected you, if at all?
I feel like on previous trips going into it, I was kind of like, I didn't care as much because I knew it was going to be over a lot sooner, so I could just fuck around and it would be over soon enough. But like, starting on day one, I was already in the headspace that this was what life was going to be, which honestly made things a bit easier because you just got into a groove, kind of understood that like there are going to be shitty moments, but you just have to push through because it's worth it in the long run for all the good moments that you're going to get out of it.
What type of person would you recommend a trip like V2
for? Definitely someone who's adventurous, not afraid of getting dirty. Yeah, it takes a lot of mental willpower because you're out here for a long time and you can't really leave. Like, in the hard moments, you just have to push through. But honestly, being with the group, like, you become a family. So it's really nice to have that support and just pushing through everything as a team and sharing amazing moments too.
Would you say V2 changed your thoughts or perspectives at all?
It definitely taught me to be, just tripping in general taught me to be a lot more easygoing and just taking life as it comes, like waking up every day and taking it day at a time, really savoring the moment, especially this year because we got delayed a year. I really tried to take every moment, even the bad ones. It's like, this is what we came for. We don't really have a destination. Like, the whole trip is what we're here for, so just take every moment before it flees.
All right. Coming to you now over a year and a half after trip has officially come to an end. Due to situational difficulties with the location of my video editing hardware, I have not been able to finish the film until now, January 2023. While making the film a release date tragically late, this has granted me one thing: the ability to really sit in my thoughts and process the trip. While I can only speak for myself, I feel as though others who have experienced a V2 or something of the like may concur. And I feel as though it's something that's not talked about very often, if at all. In that the experience and learning that comes from a long trip like V2 was not bound by the put in and take out dates. It's not bound by the days on the water, or however else you define the definitive start and end of the trip itself. But rather, its effect extends well into the years before and well into the years after trip. Now, this effect may manifest itself for different people in different ways. But for me, it was about self-definition. Growing up, I would often find myself as adventurous, to say the least, with a focus put on the knowledge that eventually I would be embarking on a 2-month Arctic canoe trip. It slowly became a bigger and bigger defining part of my personality and provided me a sense of identity. When it all comes to an end, however, and you're driving home, it doesn't feel as though your trip is coming past. It feels as though it's this distant and separate world that you could be convinced was a dream. Maybe that was accentuated for trips in my year due to a lack of a feeling of finality as a result of COVID restrictions on the typical post-trip decompression and celebrations. That being said, we are all still very appreciative of what was put together and achieved by the Wanapate staff team in the strenuous COVID times. It was truly an impressive feat. Nevertheless, we finished trip and just walked our own ways. Went back to our regular old lives like nothing had happened. Now again, I can only speak for myself, but I felt as though I was out of place. The chaotic university life was quite overwhelming sometimes. I found myself pretty uncomfortable in crowds for months to come. I felt cooped up in my house, and I felt as though I was missing something. And after many months of self-reflection, I've come to the understanding that what I believed provoked that feeling of missing something was a lack of connection to a future goal. Now, this also ties into many young people's difficulties of finding a path for the future. I still have no idea what I plan on doing. But I lost V2 as a way to define myself and a way to define my future. And in that, I used to find a lot of comfort. Thus, I defined a redefinition of self, something to work towards. What I've now realized is that finding oneself is an ongoing process, where you pick up pieces along the way that will forever be a part of you, but you never feel as though you truly have a grasp. Like trying to find a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, the object of self-definition is constantly moving to a new horizon. But that's okay. Because if you look up, there will always be a beautiful rainbow in front of you. It's truly about the journey, not the destination. Now, I apologize for that corny remark, but I feel as though it holds true. And I guess what I'm trying to get at by this long-winded statement is that this realization is in large a result of the effect V2 has had on me. Not just during those 60 days, but well before and long after. The trip experience doesn't end when you get off the water. The learning will continue, and sometimes, and for some people, it will get uncomfortable. But that's okay. Enjoy the journey, and keep following the rainbow towards a bright new horizon. That's ultimately what the fluidity of life is all about.
I seem to get quiet as I toss aside to rot on the lonely shore. And the leaves and mold like a shroud unfold, for the last of my days are o'er. But I float in my dreams on northern streams that never again I'll see. As I lie on the marge of the old portage with grief for company. When the sunset gilds the timbered hills that guard Temagami, and the moonbeams play on far James Bay by the brink of the frozen sea. In phantom guise my spirit flies as the dream blades dip and swing, where the waters flow from long ago in the spell of the beckoning spring. To the cow moose call on the Montreal as the first frost bites the air, and the mist unfolds from the red and gold that the autumn ridges wear. With the white falls roar as they did of yore on the Lady Evelyn, and the square-tail leap from the black pool deep where the pictured rocks begin. And the fur fleas sing on Temiskaming as the ashen paddles bend, and the crews carouse at Rupert's house at the sullen winter's end. But when days are done where the lean wolves run, I'll ripple no more their path, where the gray geese race across the red moon's face from the white wind's arctic wrath. Through the death-fraught way of the Saguenay to the storied Nipigon. Once knew me well, now a crumbling shell, I watch as the years go on. And in memory's haze I live the days forever gone from me. As I lie on the marge of the old portage with grief for company.